Good morning, everyone. I am Jonathan Little. Hope you're having a great day. I did a little bit to tinker with the camera on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. Let me know if it looks a little bit better or worse. I'm open to any ideas, but I think it's slightly better because I have a good camera. I think the issue is I don't have very good lighting in this room. I need a light right behind here. But honestly, I don't want to stare at a light while I'm making the videos for you. I love you all, but I also don't want to go blind. So please let me know about that. Like I said, sorry for being a little bit late. I had to take James to school, and in New York City, it's pouring down snow right now. And then, in my infinite wisdom, I got the idea to make a short 1-minute video for social media, because I love the snow. So I ran out to the Esplanade and filmed a video that'll hopefully be a little bit inspirational for all of you. Why am I not in Prague? Well, because I have a family. I have 2 boys, I have a wife, and Prague just so happens to take place right around the same time as my kids' birthdays, my birthday, and the holiday season. And I'd rather be with my family than be with a bunch of poker players during my kids' birthdays. Call me crazy. All right, so I asked all of you for suggestions for topics for a little coffee, and I have a good one. It is, when do you hero call? Actually, I had grand ideas of getting back here at like 8:45 from taking James to school and pulling up a few hero call hands. Instead, I only have one that was right on the top of my mind, and we'll go through it. But essentially, when do you all think you should hero call? A hero call is when you lose to a lot of the, when you lose to all real main hands, right? When should you make the hero call? And there really is just like one simple answer to this. Take a second, think about it. Sorry if I'm hot and sweaty. I'm wearing dress clothes today because I'm going to meet with a lot of my business mentors later. And then I have to I'm going to Amy's holiday party for her work. So we're dressing up today. We're being adults. You should hero. None of you know when to hero call? Come on. It's really only one answer. Pilsen almost has it right. When you believe your opponent is bluffing. Kind of. Hero call when your opponent has far too many bluffs in their range. Whenever you see great players make a hero call, they're not just randomly calling, right? They are calling because they expect their opponent's range to contain far too many bluffs. If you play around with even a basic poker calculator like Equilab, it's a completely free program, go download that, you will see that if your opponent just has even a few too many bluffs, your exploit is to call a ton. Not just call a little bit more, call a ton more. And that's because if your opponent is out of line, if they're not balanced or weighted towards value, you exploit them by calling very, very wide. You may say, well, my opponents are often playing loose, aggressive, splashy, etc. So should I be calling them very, very wide? And the answer is yes. So realize that whenever you do make hero calls, you are going to lose a lot of the time. This is a very important idea, because a lot of people don't really understand that, like, when you do hero call, you're usually getting pot odds, right? Like, say your opponent goes all in for pot on the river, and you're debating whether or not to call with, like, queen high or something, or, a pair on a scary board or whatnot. In scenarios like that, you essentially need to be good 33% of the time. So what if you're actually good 38% of the time? Well, that still means you lose, 62% of the time? You're just out, or you lose a big pot? Are you cool with that? And the answer is yes, you should be if you care about making money. Because really, at the end of the day, it really is all about making plays that make money. Now, in tournaments, you need to be a little bit more cautious, because if you lose one hand, you're out of the tournament, right? So in tournaments, you often want to have a little bit more of an edge. But you'll often find in some tournaments, people are just mindlessly bonkers, and they get after it every single time they have the opportunity, right? Which allows you to perhaps hero call them more. So what types of players should you be looking to hero call? Take a second, think about it, type it in the chat while I sip my coffee and try to relax from being in the snow. You say hero calls or negative EV, just make good calls. Well, understand that what is a good call? A good call is a call you make when you have the proper equity against your opponent's range to call. In my mind, a hero call is essentially a call made with a hand that would be a fold against a reasonable range, but is not a fold against this specific opponent in this specific time that has an unreasonable range, right? All right, so the players you want to be calling are the players who have far too many bluffs on their usually turn and river range. Now, if someone is loose and aggressive, or if someone is, splashy, that does not necessarily indicate river aggression frequency, right? And you're going to find that a lot of players in the small stakes games, they'll raise pre-flop a lot, they'll bet the flop a lot, but then they'll play really, really, really straightforwardly, okay? And as Russell says, high VPIP, voluntarily put dollars in pot, I actually don't think that's a great indicator of river tendencies. It's a better indicator than nothing, but why would you necessarily think that early street play is clearly indicative of river play? And it's not. It really isn't. You're going to find that, yes, loose aggressive players pre-flop tend to be more capable of bluffing on the later betting rounds, sure. But it's not like definitive by any means. What you want is you want to see people betting the river frequently. You want them playing a lot of pots and betting the river frequently. Because if they're playing a lot of pots, it means they have wide ranges, which implies too many bluffs, or too many hands that need to bluff to be played reasonably. And if they are betting frequently on the river with that wide range, they must have too many bluffs. And if they must have too many bluffs, that allows you to start to hero call them. So you really want to see late street aggression. Mark actually says correctly here, the players who have too many hands pre-flop frequently just have too many give-ups later, rather than having too many bluffs later. And that's actually right, because in a lot of, especially small and medium stakes games, what happens is players will raise a lot pre-flop, continuation bet the flop a lot, and their opponents will just all fold. And then if their opponents make it past the flop, they realize they probably have something, so they stop bluffing. Or maybe they bet the turn a lot, but then they almost never bluff the river, right? I'm thinking about a few very, very good players off the top of my head who do a whole lot of pre-flop bluffing, a whole lot of flop bluffing, a whole lot of turn bluffing, almost no river bluffing. And that's just a straight exploit of the player pool, because the player pool folds almost everything by the turn that is marginal, and once they make it past the turn, they just have a good hand. They're not folding, right? Is Scarmaker a member of poker coaching? He is. He's one of my students. He just won $40,000 in the Venom yesterday. Everyone was saying that he's my protege. Yeah, so he turned $5 into $1.3 million on Party Poker last year in November. He watched a lot of my videos, was a poker coaching member. I've coached him before the World Series of Poker this year a decent amount because he was going to start playing live poker, given he got $1.3 million now. And it's had decent success. Just the other day, he took, I think, 11th place in a big online tournament for $40,000. I think it was $2,500 buy-in, something like that. So a reasonable score for a $2,500 buy-in tournament. Obviously, you're trying to win for $1 million. But he makes deep runs in big tournaments. He loves bluffing. He actually told me that he made a triple barrel bluff that probably didn't make a whole lot of sense. And it's tough to play multi-day tournaments, especially online where you're in the action all the time. So anyway, yeah. One of my students out there crushing it. That's what they do. Okay. So, you want to be playing against players who bluff frequently or bet frequently on the river. Now, slow down though, because someone says you want to look for a high river aggression frequency. That's not necessarily true, right? Because if they have a high river aggression frequency, what if they started with only good hands pre-flop? What if they play literally only aces and go bet with it every time? Well, that player's not bluffing too much. They just have a whole lot of aces, right? So high river aggression frequency does not necessarily indicate too many bluffs, right? And you see how all these stats sort of, you need a lot of them moving in the same direction to lead you to start really calling the river a lot. But you do want people who continuation bet the flop with a high frequency, continuation bet the turn with a high frequency, and continuation bet the river with a high frequency, combined with also loose and aggressive preflop stats. So you see, you really just need a maniac. Whenever you have a maniac, that are the players you're really trying to call against. But recognize, even then, all maniacs don't necessarily bluff the river a lot. Is excelling at No Limit Hold'em a good buy for a mainly cash game player? It is a good buy for a tournament player. If you play tournaments, excelling at No Limit Hold'em is for you. What's actually happening here? Let's see. Trying to line up everything right. I have a set here. Let's get the little lion in the picture. Let's get him slightly moved over. All right, there we go. Beautiful. We have lots of things back here, for those who are unaware. We have a book, Excelling at No Limit Hold'em, down there. Some of you can see that. What else do we have? We have all sorts of stuff. We'll get to it one day. All right. So, when are some times in general, not necessarily against maniacs, where you should consider hero calling? Because against maniacs, it's easy. You just call. Don't worry about it and call. What about against regular people who play normally? Well, the main time you want to be hero calling with stuff like ace high or any pair is when all the draws miss, or the majority of the draws miss. Just a good example of this is, say someone raises, you call in position with, like, I don't know, say early position or middle position raises, you call with ace-8 suited on the button. Flop comes 9-8-3, 2 hearts. Okay? So you have middle pair. They bet, you call, turns like a 2. They bet, you call. River is a king. They bet. Okay? 9-8-3-2 king. All the flush draws missed, all the straight draws missed. This is a fantastic spot to hero call, because a lot of players will not keep betting with ace-king on the turn. They also usually won't keep betting with king-queen on the turn. They usually won't keep betting with king-jack or king-10 on the turn. So you're really only... And they won't keep betting with queens, jacks, or 10s on the river, because the king got there, right? And you could very easily just have a pair where they draw, right? That with a king that got there. So they have to be a little bit cautious and do a lot of checking there. Plus, they want to check with a hand like queens to check and then call. So in this scenario, all the draws miss, and they're really only value betting like aces, king 9, 9-8, which you block 9-8, and then sets, which you block some of the sets, right? Also, notice you block aces. So in that scenario, it makes a whole lot of sense to hero call. Let me type the board in so you all know what I'm talking about. Let's do 9 of hearts, 8 of hearts, 3 of clubs, 2 of spades, king of diamonds, right? That board right there. In that situation, you essentially need to be hero calling a lot against reasonable opponents, just because a lot of people will keep betting jack 10 on the turn, queen 10, queen jack, flush draws, and a lot of draws miss. So when a lot of draws miss, you have an easy call. Is a hero call simply defined as a call that would lose against what the villain is trying to represent? Not necessarily. Because, for example, on this board I just gave, like, in theory, what is the villain trying to represent? They're trying to represent a really good hand. That said, like, ace-king loses to that range. But is ace-king, if I somehow have ace-king of hearts here, is that a hero call? Like, not really. But if I had pocket fours, maybe. Instagram just died on me. Let's give Instagram a second to catch up. Pause due to poor connection. Seems like my Wi-Fi just died. Hopefully you're all still here on the internet. If the computer Wi-Fi died, that's not so good. All right. Rest in peace, Instagram. I think it's back up. Okay. So, essentially, in scenarios like this, like on that board, 9-8, I already forgot what I said, 9-8, 9-8, 3-2 king, if you had something like ace high, say you had ace queen somehow, like ace queen of hearts, not such a good hand actually, because you block the ace and queen of hearts, which are obvious draws. Say you had like ace 3, right, or ace 2. It's actually a reasonable spot to be calling. And that's because you beat all of the obvious draws. So it's very, very important to ask yourself, Did a lot of draws miss? If they did, will my opponent bluff with the very obvious bluffing hands, right? And some people will and some people won't. Against players who won't, your life is just so easy because you just never pay off a river bet poorly, right? In small stakes games, so many players will literally never bluff the river. Whenever they bluff the river, they just have, or when they bet the river, they just have a good hand. In which case, you get to fold all sorts of, well, everything pretty much, right? Like say you did have a hand like pocket queens on 9-8, 3-2 king, and your opponent goes bet, bet, bet. You just have an easy fold. Why do you delete videos after you post them? I don't delete videos after I post them. Not very often. Every once in a while we do. Some stuff we put out immediately for people to see, and then we put it behind the paywall at pokercoaching.com. We have a lot of content there. We have quizzes, classes, webinars, a Discord chat, forum, backing opportunities for all of you, etc., etc. The Cash Game Masterclass, there you go. All right, next. You also want to be hero calling when the opponent's range is polarized, but they really don't have very many hands that should fit into a polarized range, and they're competent enough to realize that, well, a good example is that situation I just gave you, where like queens is not a hand you want to be value betting on the river, right? And perhaps even a hand like aces is not a hand you want to value bet on the river, especially using a big size. Sizing is very indicative of polarization, by the way, for most people. Usually when people bet small on the river, they have a relatively condensed range. A condensed range means a range not containing a lot of the best hands, not containing a lot of the garbage. So it's going to be stuff like queens, right? Say your opponent bets 3 big blinds on the 9-8 3 flop, you call. Say they bet 6 big blinds on the turn of a 2, you call. Say the river's a king and they bet 6 big blinds again. That looks a whole lot like a hand like queens. But if they bet 18 big blinds, now their range is going to be much more tilted towards a really good hand, like a set or 2 pair, or a bluff. What does polarized mean? Polarized means the hands are on the poles, North Pole and the South Pole, right? We have the nuts and we have garbage. And that is an example when they go 3 big blinds, 8 big blinds, 18, or 3 big blinds, 6 big blinds, 18 big blinds on 9-8, 3-2 king, with the flush draw to miss, where they should be extremely polarized to perhaps ace, king, and better, maybe aces and better. And even then, aces isn't thrilled to blast it, because if aces blast it on the river, what's really going to call, right? I don't have a whole lot of kings to call, so am I really going to call with like 10-9 for like middle pair, facing a bet, big bet on the river? Like, no, right? So it doesn't actually make sense to be betting in that scenario, so you usually want to be checking. And then you can check with the aces, and then just easily call any bet, right? Because if you check and your opponent bets, it's just a super easy call. You never, ever get bluffed. So there are multiple types of ranges. I'll give you the 3 basic ones. We have polarized, which is what I just said, really good hand or really garbage hand. Then we have a condensed range, which is the opposite, or the other part of the range than the condensed range. So in that scenario, if like let's say aces and better is the nut range, and queen high and worse is the garbage range, hands between queen high, which would be like ace high and better, and pocket like king queen and worse, or ace king and worse for top pair and worse, that would be the condensed range, right? So it's almost like you separate it into 3 chunks. We have the really good hands, the really bad hands, and then the medium hands. Medium hands usually want to be checking on the river, because if they bet and get called, they're pretty unhappy. I think Instagram's back on Wi-Fi for some reason. Phone's acting up today. I'm sorry about that. Next, we have a linear range. A linear range is just straight up good hands, right? And straight up good hands are usually like used pre-flop. It's usually just the absolute best hands. Can you show your wallet? Do you carry a large amount of money? Here's my wallet. Nice thin wallet. This is called an iClip. It opens up. It has a little bit of money in it. We have $200. Oh, hi, Amy. You want to be on the show for a minute? No? All right. Bye. Oh, here's Amy. This is my wife. Oh, what a cute sweater you have on today. Did you have a good day?
It just started.
It just started. Well,
actually, it started about 5 hours ago, but
Yes.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone. I hope you have a great day. Enjoy yourself. Bye-bye. Have a good day at work. Love you. And then it fits all of your cards very easily. You can just have all your cards come out, put it back in. It is nice and thin. Cliff Notes. Jonathan Little, fired by Full Tilt. Yes, 12 years ago, I made a big mistake of sharing my poker account with my friends. Don't do that. I have made multiple videos about this, really. Seems like people don't do their research. Go figure. And I screwed up badly. I made a lot of mistakes as a young kid. I was a young, dumb kid. I tell all of you this all the time. And you definitely do not want to break the rules, and you definitely do not want to poop where you eat or poop anywhere. You want to be a good person and better the world, right? And when I was young, I thought it was really just straight up about yourself. You know, lie, cheat, steal, do whatever you need. And clearly that's not right. It's very, very wrong. And I am significantly more, well off, liked. I have a good image in the poker world, and I help a lot of people. And I've learned that it is way better to help others than it is to help yourself. Because when you help a lot of other people, they inevitably give back to you. Do you recommend using a HUD? Yes. If so, which one? I just use Poker Tracker 2. Or, I don't know. I use Hold'em Manager. I'm sorry, I use Hold'em Manager. How do you not get your bluffs hero called? Make sure they make logical sense, right? First time joining me live. Well, welcome. Hope you're having a great day. Poker Tracker 2. Yeah, I think it's Poker Tracker 3. I think I have Poker Tracker 4 now. I don't use Poker Tracker. I use Hold'em Manager. Any online sites in New York? I don't play online poker from in New York. Videos were not deleted. I know I have one just recently. It's just part of a little coffee. Make sure you go back and watch it. It's funny how people assume that what they see is the only thing that matters, right? They do not recognize that what they don't see, what they do not know, exists. And, to be fair, I put out a lot of content, and a lot of people don't know all the content that I put out. And that's fine. It is what it is. People love to think they know what they are talking about, even though most people don't know much about anything, and it's important to realize you don't know much about anything. I recognize I don't know much about anything, right? It's very important to realize that there's a lot of knowledge out there available, and you have to do your best to get the knowledge that is relevant to you, and also try to better the world. When you make an error in judgment, own up to it. Good policy. Not just own up to it, but own up to it, realize you did wrong, and right your ways, right? Whenever I broke the rules on Full Tilt, they took $250,000 out of my account, which, that's a bit of a penalty. And, they made an example out of me because a lot of Full Tilt pros were doing this. And it's tough because they really incentivized it, Because whenever you were a Full Tilt pro back in the day, you got paid an hourly rate and 100% rake back. And if you all know me, I can grind a ton of poker. And so can all my good friends, right? But do I really want to sit there grinding all day, every day? When somebody else could sit there and grind all day, every day? The answer is clearly not, right? And it was an error in judgment, right? I mean, I was thinking that it did not hurt anyone. And clearly it did. And, Full Tilt punished me. They took the $250K, and it was rightfully so. I deserved it. I broke the rules, and got punished, right? And since then, I've made a point to do everything on the absolute most up and up that I possibly can. And that's all you can do, right? All you can do is realize you screwed up. A nice kick in the butt helps to make you realize you screwed up. And then right your ways and go forward and try to continue helping people. Which is exactly what I've done, and it's where I am today. All right, so what else? You want to call when your opponent's polarized, and they have very few nut hands in their range. This can often happen. Let's say you raise early position, big blind calls, right? Flop comes ace, king, 3, okay? And you have ace, king. Pretty good hand. It's not really a hero call, but let's pretend like you have ace, king. They check, you continuation bet, they raise you. Okay? What should big blind be check raising you with on ace, king, 3? The answer is nothing. If you run this through a solver, it'll tell you they should have very, very close to 0% check raising range, right? And if they are check raising, it implies they are check raising with literally a set, right? So if they're check raising with literally a set, well, there's only 3 combinations of that, right? So if there's only 3 combinations of that, then it's not a whole lot of hands. So if your opponent is generally active, generally kind of oblivious, they're probably check raising with way more than just pocket 3s, right? So if they're check raising with way more than pocket 3s, maybe they're check raising jack 10 and 5-4 for a gut shot, right? It's tough to say. But there really are very few hands you actually lose to. And when you lose to a tiny combinations of hands, and your opponent is active enough to where if your opponents are active enough to the point that they could have a lot of bluffs, that's where you really do want to start to hero call. And now, it's a little bit different if you have like even ace-queen there. Because if you think about ace-queen, you actually block queen 10 and queen jack, which are some of the bluffing hands. And you don't block, and you lose to ace-3, which could also check raise. So you see it starts to get a little bit dicey. But there's just a scenario where the under-the-gun player has such a range advantage to the point that they should not, they really shouldn't check raise all that often. Yeah, ace-king also blocks 2 of the sets. But like you're not so worried about aces and kings because your opponents, like they don't have aces and kings in those scenarios. What did you do on full tilt back in the day? Back in the day, they had sit and goes. Sit and goes ran all the time. For those who don't know, I was the king of the sit and goes. Maybe not the absolute king, but I was like one of the top 5 sit and go players in the world. Okay? I would play all day, every day. All day, every day. And, because that's what I did for, 3 years straight. And then I got the deal from Full Tilt. I continued doing that for another year straight. Then I kind of got tired of it. Because turns out playing 16 hours of poker all day, every day is rough. And basically, one of my friends said, let me play on the account. I'll give you some of the rake-back money and some of the hourly rates. Young, dumb Jonathan Little said, ooh, a vacation. That would be fantastic. And essentially a paid vacation. And clearly that's a very, very wrong mindset. Because whenever people play with real Jonathan Little, they expect they're playing with real Jonathan Little. And they weren't. I was defrauding the people, and that was clearly very, very bad. In terms of like the cheating hierarchy, like actually seeing your opponent's cards, that's clearly awful. In terms of colluding, that's clearly probably worse. But this is still against the rules, right? If you break the rules that are clearly laid out, you deserve to get punished. Now, the neat thing about online poker is that there really are no clearly defined penalties. The only penalty is they can do whatever they want. And they did whatever they wanted to me. So they took all my money. But a few years later, I publicly apologized to everyone pretty much immediately. And then a few years later, I asked Full Tilt if I could play again. Right? And they said, sure. Probably because they know I'm someone who plays a lot and can generate a lot of rake. Because they care about making money. And then right before Black Friday, I actually won. I took second place in a $1,000 tournament for $320,000. My biggest online score. And cashed it out a few days before Black Friday. And got the money. So it turned out okay. So anyway, that was definitely a tough time in my life because all you have in this world is your integrity. And if you lose your integrity by doing something well out of line, or even a little bit out of line, against the rules, that's not good. And it takes a while to get it back, right? I mean, a good example of this is that for a while, no poker company really wanted to work with me. And they shouldn't, right? But over time, if you do everything in your power to only do good and only better others, you can repair yourself even if you made mistakes when you were young and stupid. So, yes, I think it's like 13 years ago now? Something like that. 14 years ago now? Goodness. Something like that. Long time ago. In a galaxy far, far away. Let's see. What kind of coffee do we have today? I don't even know. I have a few of them. I actually ran out of coffee the other day, and I just ordered something from Whole Foods immediately. All right, let's see. Next, hero calling. Realize that you should not do a whole lot of hero calling against most people. Most people, especially in the small stakes poker games, this is very, very important, they don't bluff the river all that often. They just don't. They really just don't. If you're playing against a weak, tight, straightforward player and they check raise you on that ace-king-3 board, you can be really sure, unless they're just drastically overvaluing something like ace-queen, that they have pocket threes. Because, why else would they do that, right? It doesn't make any sense. And when there even are only a few nut combinations, if they could have them, they very often will have them, right? So against most generally straightforward, generally weak players, especially in small and medium stakes games, don't hero call them. Just don't. That said, as you move up to higher and higher stakes games, especially against strong players, especially when they realize you should overfold a little bit because of, let's say, tournament dynamics, or perhaps because you're playing a cash game and they think you're maybe playing out of your bankroll and you're playing too big, something like that, that's when you should really start hero calling way more. So I have an example of this. I played it just the other day in the Bahamas. We were playing 6,000, 12,000 early in the $10,000 buy-in main events. Okay, I have king, queen offsuit in the cutoff. Here, I'll actually pull this over here. Will I pull this over here? Let's see, I'll do this. Sorry for Instagram, you can't see this. This is how I take notes on my phone, for all those who wonder. You can go to jonathanlittlepoker.com/notes to see exactly how I do this. There's a video there that explains exactly how I do this. All right, king, queen offsuit in the cutoff, playing 100 big blinds deep. Hijack, loose aggressive player. This was a good kid. He was a Winamax pro. They had cameras following him around. Winamax apparently makes a show where they film pros. The pros write down their hands, and then they make a show, like a strategy show after the fact. It's kind of cool. And apparently they're going to start making them in English. I don't know if this guy's going to be on it because they said they usually do it if they make a deep run, but I ended his run here. So he actually doesn't have as many chips as I do. He has 320 plus 95 plus 25 plus 25. So he has 475K. So he's playing, what is that? 40 big blinds deep. All right. Hijack, loose aggressive player. This kid makes it 25K. I 3-bet to 70K with king, queen offsuit. He calls. Perfectly fine, perfectly standard. We're 3-betting most of the big offsuit hands. I could flat call, but 3-betting's fine. Flop comes queen, jack, 8. He leads 25K. Okay. This is where you need to pay attention to what your opponents are doing, right? He bets 25K in this situation, and he was leading small a lot. I don't know why. Maybe he thinks it's good. Maybe he thinks people play poorly against it. I don't know. I kept making a joke that he must have had some prop bet where he has to lead minimum every flop. Because he really did lead minimum almost every time. All right, so he leads. I obviously call with my marginal made hand. There is merit in raising here. But the problem is, if he has a good balanced leading range, it's going to be stuff like straights, 2 pairs, sets, which I don't want to raise against, and then draws. And what draws are available on queen, jack, 8? King 10's there. Ace 10's there. Ace 9 is there. 10, 7, 9, 7, etc., right? A lot of those draws I just listed don't really have a whole lot of equity. All right. Turn comes at 9, which is awful for me. And now he bets 95K. It's already clear to me he's setting up a river jam, right? Because if he bets 95 and I call, pot's going to go up to pot's going to go up to 300K, right? And he has 320 left. So he's setting up a pot size river shove. This is where I think we really have to make the decision to some extent. Now look, very often you're not calling the turn with the idea that you're always going to call the river. That's actually not a good strategy because a lot of people will bet the turn but then not bluff the river. But this kid was clearly loose, active, aggressive. His bluffs had got called at some point, or a few times. And I don't know why, but I think people think that I'm generally kind of tight. Maybe because I'm an old American. Am I old at this point? What do you all think? Am I old or young? It's tough to know. I've been playing poker since 2003. Goodness, 16 years in the game. It's almost a full career. Maybe I should retire soon. So anyway, I decided to call turn, and pretty much knowing I'm calling the river. All right, river is 7, which is actually not very good for me, and he jams. This is actually kind of nice, though, because when he jams the river, I don't think he's going to jam with 2 pair on the river, because I can easily have a straight here. So since I can easily have a straight, because notice, I would call the flop with queen 10, jack 10, 10 8, 10 9, right? I'd call the turn with all those as well. So I have a lot of 10s in my range. He does too. But I have a lot of 10s. So given I have a lot of 10s in my range, he can't just mindlessly blast off. But he did. So in this situation, I thought he was very polarized to either a bluff or nothing. Now the problem with this spot is that the bluffs he has pretty much have to be a pair turning itself into a bluff. Will the opponent turn a pair into the bluff? Some people do, some people don't. I thought this kid definitely would, because he was, like I said, young, splashy, active. He's frequently min-leading, right? I mean, he has a strategy where he's doing things, right? It's not like he's a nit by any means. If you're playing against a generally straightforward player who somehow takes this line, I would definitely fold the river. But against this player, we block king 10, which is a hand that would definitely want to jam, right? We block queens, although he probably never has queens. And I really didn't think, or at least didn't know, if he would jam with sets, right? If he's not jamming sets, he's probably not jamming 2 pair, which means if he's jamming, it's going to be mostly straights, which he does have a lot of combinations of, but also a lot of 1 pair hands. Now, would he take this line with like ace jack? I don't know. Would he take it with ace 8? I don't know. Would he take it with 8 6? Probably. Would he take it with 9 7? Maybe. 9 6? Maybe. Would he call my pre-flop 3-bet with 9 6 suited? I thought he would. So I decided to find the hero call. And he had ace 9 of diamonds 4. The pair turned into the bluff. One of the few pairs I actually beat that would turn into a bluff. Now, I think I remember having some sort of a live read at this point. I don't know why, but like my live reads were pretty good in this tournament for whatever reason. And I thought he was bluffing a lot when he bet the turn. And if he's bluffing a lot when he bets the turn, he's probably bluffing a lot when he's betting the river. I'm trying to remember exactly what I saw in this scenario. I think it was just like overly stoic, but obviously excited. Is that a thing? Overly stoic, but obviously excited, which usually means he's trying to hide something. If he's trying to hide something, then maybe he is. All right. So anyway, I called. He had nothing. And you may say, is that really a hero call? And the answer is yes. I lose to all of the value hands, right? Anytime there's a 4 straight on the board and you have 1 pair, it's a hero call. All right. Should you save up 4,000 big blinds? You need 4,000 big blinds to play 1-2 live. No, you can probably start with like $2,000 or $1,000 and realize that you're going to bust that sometimes. But realize that busting 5 blinds is not a big deal. Let's see. Wouldn't you exclude a set if I was check 2 on the river here? No, if he has a set, he should definitely check, because I have a lot of straights in my range. That said, maybe he could still value bet it. Queen 9 on the button. 500 to 1,000, you make it 23K. Under the gun, limp with under the gun. I don't know what you're saying here. Oh, you have 23K. Limp, under the gun, small blind, big blind, all limp, you're on the button. All right, fine. Flop is queen, 8, 3. Under the gun makes it 10K and you jam. I would never... Oh, only makes it 10K. So you blast it. I would just fold. I mean, what is he really blasting it here with? It's going to be a good made hand or a draw. Against a good made hand or a draw, I just need to get out of the way. M9 says, how am I doing? How are you doing? I'm doing great. I'm a fossil by online standards, indeed. How old am I? I am 34. Does that sound right? You're 36 and you still feel young. I am 34 and still feel young as well. All right, let's see. In your bankroll Bible, I say you should consider taking stops at 2-5 if you have gotten your roll up to $9,000 at 1-2 and take a $2,000 shot. How much should you buy in for of your $2,000 at 2-5? Depends on your scenario. I would typically say $500. If you're normally playing $100 or 100 big blind games, 100, you should just keep playing that same game. I would not suggest you just put all 2,000 on the table. I would tell you to play your normal game. Whenever I play poker, for the most part, in most casinos and most small stakes games, they cap you at 100 big blinds. So if you are very, 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 very comfortable playing 100 big blinds, or if you've come from tournaments or from online poker, where most sites cap you at 100 big blinds to start, and you have a lot of experience at that, but less experience playing bigger stakes, just start with 100 big blinds, right? You go from there. 112 people and 29 likes. Geez, people. Yes, everyone, if you're watching this, click like, click subscribe, share it with your friends. That'll go a long way to helping the robots at Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook know that you all like what I'm doing. If you don't like what I'm doing, well, there's a little X button in the corner of a lot of screens. Sometimes it's on the left-hand side, I think. I don't know how Apples work. But, feel free to click there. It will not offend me. Find people you like and learn from them. Obviously, just realize that everyone you like may not be teaching you things. They may be, not teaching you things. But it's okay to not get taught, right? Sometimes you just want to be entertained. There are a lot of entertaining people out there, and I realize I am not a circus clown, so I will not be entertained. Yeah, someone asked to see my wallet. I wonder why people want to see my wallet. Are they trying to steal my identification or something? So in my wallet, I have my ID, I have a Metro card, I have a bunch of credit cards, mostly debit cards and credit cards. I have an insurance card. I have a pass to get into fancy lounges at airports. I have a membership to the Natural History Museum, and I have a Starbucks card. Although I probably don't need that anymore, do I? I could probably use the app. But I like thin wallets. This is very thin. The problem with this is it can't hold a lot of money. I think I can put something like, actually I have $300. Couldn't even can't even count to 3 anymore. I put loose change in my pocket. Like I usually throw, $100 and 5s, 10s, and 20s in my pocket. And this is good. Nice, tight, compact wallet. It's called the iClip. I had another one in the past that was called the Tri-Hold wallet. So iClip is what I use now. I like it a lot. I'm probably not going to change anytime soon. The other one I have was called a Tri-Hold. I went through about 4 of those, and those got worn out. Can you see a passport and recent utility bill? Yeah, sure. I have, right here, it's a utility bill that I got just the other day. And here's my passport. You see, it's nice and good. So if you need these, here they are. Let's see. Do I really ride trains? Do people in New York really ride trains? Yeah. People in New York really ride trains. You're going to find that the train is faster than a car. So why would you take the slow version that costs more money than the fast? Why don't you take the slow version that costs more money than the fast version that is way cheaper? That said, I actually I don't take a train a whole lot from where I live now. I actually live on the east side of the city now, right near call it like an interstate. There's a road that goes all the way around Manhattan that will take you places very quickly. So, like, for example, today, I'm going downtown. I could take a train. It would probably take about 45 minutes. But if I get in a car, it'll take 20 minutes because I'm just going straight down one road and then getting off the exit and getting out, right? So, where I live now, it's way better to take a car if I'm going way up or way down. Actually, in general, I haven't taken the train a whole lot recently. Because the train is on, 2nd or 3rd Avenue. I live on, 0th Avenue, right on the water. But when I used to live in the middle of the city, like on 3rd, and there was a subway right by 3rd, I would take the subway all the time. So, that's that. Do you have a car? No, I do not have a car. I haven't had a car in a long time. With any luck, I'll never have a car again. Because a car is a pain in the butt. What's my favorite trophy behind me on the shelf? Oh, someone asked the story of the shark. This is a shark my mom got me randomly, so I put it there. My online name is J Card Shark. What's my favorite trophy? Well, this is certainly the neatest one. Actually, here, let me show you one you all can't even see. This is my favorite one. Oh my god, it's so heavy. This is my Player of the Year trophy for winning World Poker Tour Player of the Year. It is incredibly heavy. I say it's incredibly heavy. It probably weighs... Let's see, can I do this? So it must weigh about 22 pounds. Does it say on the bottom? No. Anyway, Player of the Year trophy. It's nice. That goes way up here because it's too big to sit in the other sections. For those who cannot see, there's plenty more trophies up there. You can't really see that. Lighting's not so good. That's okay. Anyway. All right. Am I going to buy a Tesla truck? No, I'm not going to buy any trucks. I don't need a truck. Let's see. You know, Uber and Lyft and companies like this make traveling very, 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 very quick and easy and efficient. And if you think about it, let's get out the calculator. Let's say you have two options. You can either get a car or take Uber everywhere. Let's say you take, how many car rides a day do I take? Not many. To be fair, I live in the city, so if I need to go somewhere, I just walk there. It takes like 10 minutes. Let's say you go somewhere every day. Sure. Let's say you go somewhere every day, and every ride takes you $15. Let's say you go 3 rides a day. $45 a day times 30 days a month is $1,350, okay? How much is a lease on a nice car? I don't even know. Call it, I don't know, let's say it's $600 a month. Sure. Minus 600. How much does fuel cost for a month? I don't even know this either. Let's call it $200 maybe? Is it $100? I don't know. Let's call it $100. How much does insurance cost? I know my insurance used to be $500 a month. $150. How much does maintenance cost? Maybe $50 a month. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. So now it costs us $100 a month just to take an Uber somewhere, everywhere. If we go three rides a day. Sometimes you're gonna go more, sometimes you're gonna go less. Like in New York City, I might drive somewhere, I might take 4 Uber rides a week or 4 taxi rides a week for like 15 or 20 bucks each time. So the times when having a car makes a whole lot of sense is when you have to drive a long way, or when you plan on taking a lot of trips, right? That said, you could get something like Zipcar, which costs $300 or $500 a month, whatever it is, and you can just rent a car that way, right? So think out the door. If you don't want headaches, if you never want to have to worry with dealing with the car breaking, taking the car to the shop, getting gas, all that, if you never want to deal with that, if you care about convenience, I think not having a car is the way to go. Now, something a lot of other people don't recognize is that whenever you take Uber, you're actually buying time, assuming you utilize your time in the Uber well, or a taxi, right? So if you utilize your time well, then whenever you're in the car, you can do work. What if you know your work is worth $50 an hour? Well, now if you sit in an Uber for 30 minutes and you do work of some sort, or just gain knowledge by listening to a podcast or whatnot, and you think that's very valuable to you, you make $25. So you make $25 by paying them $15 or $20 to drive you somewhere. So you actually make $5 every time you utilize your time well. Right? So what if your time's actually worth a lot more? What if your time's worth $500 an hour? Right? If your time's worth $500 an hour, now it would be ridiculous to ever drive a car again. Ridiculous. Unless you like driving a car. I don't particularly care if I ever drive a car again. So doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So anyway, we just did the math for if you take 3 trips a day to your work, back home from work, and then maybe every other day you go somewhere and come back. And that works out to basically break even. So if that's break even and you value your time at all, it makes sense to not have a car. At least in my opinion. $500 for insurance. Yeah, I had a few speeding tickets because I was a young, dumb kid. Remember, I made a whole lots of errors as a kid. I had a Lexus ISF, which was a nice sports car that just came out. I actually won in a bet against... Do I want to say how I got my car? Basically, Tom Dwan backed me, and if I had more than I think it was $2.5 million in cashes in a year, he would buy me a decently nice car. and I had more than that amount in the year. So maybe I need to start making myself more stipulations. If I win more than, I tell you what, if I cash for more than $2 million next year, I'm going to buy $100,000 something that's really, really nice. Don't know what I'm going to buy. I'm going to buy something nice. And yeah, I was like 25 years old or something. So 25 years old with a nice sports car as a young male. Yeah, $500 a month. Let's see. Is it possible to make the transition from a full-time pro and win the same amount or more? I would tell you to start playing live poker because you'll probably make way more money playing live poker than you do online. But I would tell you if you're going to play online, just realize that your money that you play from poker should just be all reinvested into your bankroll, and you should be pushing as high as you can, as quick as you can, and don't cash it out. Because if you cash out money from your bankroll, it makes it very, very difficult to move up. How do you compare your bankroll from online to live? Go to there's a site called pokerdope.com that has a variance calculator. Check out that. That might be useful. But from you'll find your ROI is much higher live than online, which will drastically change the equation. So go there, plug in numbers, and experiment. Also, the buy-in changes, right? Usually you're playing bigger live than you are online, so that messes with the number too. Last month you drove 1,000 miles across 4 countries. Try doing that in Uber. Well, don't drive 1,000 miles across 4 countries unless you want to, right? I don't have that desire. Let's see. For poker coaching, is it worth it? Not sure what you're referring to, but yes. Thanks a lot for the session. We have a great week of study planned with Matt Affleck today. I think it's today. Is it today? Louis Philippe knows better than I do. And Michael Acevedo, author of Modern Poker Theory, one of the books back there. Awesome. Here you go. An example of this at work. You're an attorney in Florida. You no longer own a car. You work in the car. Uber is your game. Yeah. If you value time, freeing up that time is highly valuable. What do you do with your time and money when not playing poker? I help all of you get better at poker. I only play poker about 1 week a month now. But like this right here. You all may not believe this, but I'll probably sell some books. I'll probably sell a membership to poker coaching. So even right here, we're making a little bit of money. Very passively, because I don't view this as work. This is just nice and fun. I sit down and talk to you all about life, try to help you learn from the mistakes I made and some of the mistakes I didn't make, right? And it's enjoyable, right? So, like right here, we are working. So is this work? I mean, sure. If you all want to buy my books, go to jonathanlittlepoker.com/books. They're all available there. If you want to get a membership to pokercoaching.com, go to pokercoaching.com. You can get a free trial membership that gives you access to a tiny sliver of the site. So go and check that out. It's completely free. And you see all these books back here? They didn't write themselves. All these books back here, I either wrote or had heavy-handed editing. So lots and lots of work. Some of those are work. What else? I have a training site, pokercoaching.com. I manage a team. Believe it or not, it's not just me here making all this work. And I make a whole lot of content for you. See the YouTube channel? That doesn't make itself. All this stuff doesn't make itself, believe it or not. And I am happy to provide value to anyone who wants to work to improve their lives. That's really it. If you want to improve your life, I'm happy to help you. And that is my work now, and I don't mind it. I like it. Even though I get paid almost nothing immediately the majority of the time. Something a lot of people don't quite recognize is whenever you play the long game, you don't get paid up front. And that's okay. I don't have to get paid up front. I don't mind. I am happy to play the long game because in the long game, in the long term, if you provide value to people and you help them better their lives in some meaningful way, I know a lot of you are making much more money today than you were just a year ago because of the work I've done and the study you have done, right? They will reward you immensely over time. And the thing is imagine you go from making no money from poker to even $10,000 per year from poker a year. You'll be very happy to throw Jonathan Little a few $100 a year, right? Because he's helping you get better. And once you start helping thousands and thousands of people, well, imagine we help 1,000 people and they give me $300 a year. That's $300,000, right? And there's a lot of people who are good at poker or who are getting good at poker, and I'm helping them. So do the math. Even though you may not get paid anything up front, it will pay off over time if you stick with it. And fortunately, I have good stick-with-itness. I've only been doing this poker educational thing for about 15 years, and I don't plan on quitting. So if you help people consistently over the long term, and you love them, and you love what you do, right? If you do everything you can to empower people to change their lives and better their lives, they will repay you immensely. And, well, I'm proof of that. So thank you to all of you for letting me live the life of my dreams. I appreciate all of you. And I've said this so long, I run out of breath. All right. Brian says, you really appreciate me. Well, thank you. I appreciate all of you, too. Your site has changed my results significantly. Fantastic. Will you be staking any members who purchase Poker Coaching Premium from the UK for the Party Poker Millions live tournament? Not for the 10K, but hey, maybe for a few of the $1,000 tournaments or £1,000 tournaments, wherever they are, maybe. I'll be there, by the way. I will be at... What in the world's happening with Nightbot? Oh my god. What did I just do? I have no clue what I just did. Did I just scroll to the bottom of my chat? Well, I think chat may be dead. Let's try something different real quick. Is my computer dead? Oh, the computer's not dead. Let's see. Give me a second. We'll restore this chat. You all love my setup without the chat box? I don't know if it's going to work. Oh, here we go. Well, I think I lost the chat. That's okay. Anyway, I have to go now. Realize we're playing the long game here, and I want to help all of you be the best versions of yourself. So if you have any questions, comments, etc., please let me know. I am happy to help. Chief says your ROI went from minus 20% to minus 15%. Nice. Well, you know, Chief, back in the day, I actually paid someone $5,000 for private coaching, and my ROI went from 5% to 10%, which actually doubled my win rates. How much is doubling your win rate worth? And not only that, but you get to double your win rate for a long time, right? And if you do go, let's say you go from losing, let's say that actually is a real example, and you go from losing $20,000 a year to $15,000 a year. That means you just saved $5,000 by spending a little bit of time studying with my content. What's $5,000 worth? Well, $5,000, and you are improving. So if you're improving, it's going to keep getting better, right? So anyway, that's going to be it for today. Did I see your question about bankroll? No. Did you just see the chat just break on me? All right. Have a great day. I'll be back on Friday. If you have any suggestions, comments, etc. for topics that we can go over, I'm happy to go over them. I've been trying to go over a few more slightly technical ones. If you want to send in a hand history or two with a question that is rather broad that I can talk about for 30 minutes or so, send it in. If your win rate is $10 or 10 big blinds per hour during the year, should you move up in stakes? Probably. Should you call? How do you play aces pre-flop facing an all-in? Don't fold aces. Aces are great. Realize variance exists. Read jonathanlittlepoker.com/bankroll. There you go. That'll answer almost all of your questions pertaining to bankroll. Thank you very much, Tom. All right, that's going to be it for today. Good luck in your games. Have fun. Get your membership at pokercoaching.com today. There's no better time to start bettering yourself than today. Get to it. Have discipline. Work hard, and good things will come. Thanks for being here. Good luck. Be nice to someone, and I'll talk to you next time.